In their later meeting in 2004, the House of Bishops then decided to offer a model of oversight to us, which is called Shared Episcopal Ministry, SEM. My own view is, and the view of many, is that shared episcopal ministry does not offer genuine protection for parishes in situations like ours. It institutionalises schism. It allows the diocese to continue going the direction it's going. And it completely refuses to recognise what the international church is saying through the Windsor Report. In 2004, the Diocese of Niagara voted to bless same-sex marriage. And now this year, 2007, the General Synod of the Canadian Church passed two motions, one saying that while they don't agree with local options, that is, different dioceses doing their own thing, still same-sex blessings is consistent with the core doctrine of the Church. Since then, the Diocese of Ottawa and the Diocese of Montreal have voted to bless same-sex marriage.
Okay, so now there are 4 separate dioceses within Canada that have elected to bless same-sex unions, is that correct?
That is true. At this stage, today, only the Diocese of New Westminster has a bishop that's agreed to enact it.
Oh, right.
In these 2 dioceses and in Niagara, the bishop has said he won't do it.
In 2002, when the vote first came down and when St. John's members walked out of the synod, what was the reaction back at the church? What did St. John's do?
I think the first reaction was shock. We had been meeting with a number of other parishes knowing this vote would come forward. We had been praying and asking one another what we should do. When it happened and when the bishop announced that he would proceed with this, we stood and Trevor Walters said to the bishop and to the synod that this impaired our communion.
Who is Trevor Walters?
Trevor's the minister of the church in Abbotsford, and that we felt that we had to walk a separate, that they were walking a separate path and that we couldn't participate with them. So we left the synod and gathered together and decided that we would seek for alternative episcopal oversight. And I can remember the next morning coming to the 8 o'clock service here at St. John's and announcing what had happened and bursting into tears. It's like your family has been ripped in half. I mean, I think most of us felt the tear in the fabric of the communion, as it were. And
so that was the date when, in fact, there were 2 groups then that started within the Anglican Church.
I think so.
Walking in separate directions.
I think so. And what we did over the fall term is we had a series of information meetings where we tried to explain what had happened as best we could, to try and catch up on what was going nationally and internationally. We had a vestry meeting in the fall. We had another vestry meeting in February, where we received Bishop Buckle's oversight. And at those vestry meetings, we took the decision that we would stop paying our assessment. Each Anglican church pays an assessment to the diocese. But we felt that because of our impaired communion, we could no longer offer financial support to the diocese, which was moving a direction that's different than the gospel. We did want to offer support to the national church because the national church was, we believed, still walking right then, and so we offered to pay money to the national church. But the Diocese of New Westminster requested that the national church not receive our monies, and so they haven't.
So since 2002 then, you have withheld your assessments?
Yes, we have. We haven't spent them on ourselves. We haven't meant that action to be punitive. It's an action that comes from our understanding of the fact that the diocese has moved away from the fellowship of the gospel, and we can't support the diocese in doing that.
So what have you done with the money then that was intended for that purpose? We
continue to keep a line item in the budget, and it's called Episcopal Oversight and Related Expenses. And so all the activities that we have sought to pursue with regard to Episcopal oversight comes out of that fund. There's one other piece that's very interesting financially. When the Global South primates and churches started to come into North America in support of us and in support of Orthodox believers in the Episcopal Church, some of the national funding bodies in the Canadian Anglican Church and the Episcopal Church cut off funding to the Global South. And so a group of people in North America have gathered together and have created a fund called the Anglican Relief and Development Fund. And on the board are 6 Global South primates. And they are the ones who are on the ground in the Global South in some of the neediest areas in the world. And they bring suggestions of where we should look to do projects. Projects are then researched, and then the primates vote on which projects are funded. And over the last 3 years, we've raised $3 to $4 million for relief and development in the Global South. It's been a wonderful and amazing thing that they have stood up for us. They have nothing to gain from that. And I think this is a way for our fellowship to remain firm with each other. I should say to you, one of the most moving moments for me was in 2002, when some of the primates of the Global South came into the Diocese of New Westminster. There was a press conference held. And there were some questions that were asked of Archbishop Malenga, the Primate of Central Africa, saying, how dare you come into someone else's jurisdiction? How dare you come into someone else's area and interfere? And he very quietly said, if your neighbour's house is on fire, will you seek to rescue the children who are inside? And the questions pressed him, yes, but what if it's not your house? What if your neighbour doesn't want you to come in? And he said, if my neighbour stands at the door and stops me, won't I go to the window to try and rescue the children? So the way that the global church, the way certainly the Global South views what's going on here in this diocese and across the country is life and death, and that's why they are doing what they are doing.
That's a very powerful illustration.
Yeah. Well, I think we have been the beneficiaries of the fellowship and communion of the Global South. Archbishop Malenga has come to St John's a number of times, and we have now formed a partnership with the Diocese of the Upper Shire, the Central Diocese in Malawi. And we have begun writing, corresponding. We have sent some finance to the diocese, and they have corresponded with us, and we've sent a number of visitors to be there. And although Malawi is the second poorest country in Africa, those who have gone have come back bearing witness to great joy and great stability in the faith and growth amongst the Christians there. And I think it's been a wonderful thing for a very comfortable and secure congregation like St John's to be involved in this partnership.
So St. John's does have a very strong relationship right now with a number of the churches south of the equator.
We do. But I would have to say that it is not our relationship with those churches that has motivated the Global South to stand in our defence. The opposite has happened. It is because they have stood for us that has created the relationship.